Spirituality and the fear of sex. There is a general idea that sex and spirituality cannot go together because the more spiritual one becomes or wants to become, the less sexual one has to be, or one has to renounce sex. But sex is the most natural thing we have, apart from eating, sleeping, and sex is very important. So life can go on. We are the product of a sexual act of our parents. If our parents wouldn't have had sex, we wouldn't be here. So whatever we are is an outcome of sex. But in spirituality, we want to separate the body and the sex drive from our spirit. So we renounce on one side the world, and we renounce the body to become more spiritual. But as soon as we renounce or try to renounce sex, sex in most cases becomes repressed. But sex is such a strong force that it looks for the outlet. So maybe in your dreams, you dream sexual dreams, you have wet dreams, and in daily life, what happens to the priests? They abuse now children because the sex needs some outlet, so they look for some children which they can easily manipulate. Is that much better than having a natural sex life? On the other hand, we see that ministers, Protestant ministers, they marry, are there for this reason, having a family, having children, are they less worse as ministers? Sex is no problem for them because they have the possibility to have sex. So the priests or the monks who are repressing sex, they are more sexual than persons who allow sex, to enjoy sex. For example, Buddhist monks, they're not allowed to sit on the same bench with a woman. They're not even allowed to live under the same roof as a woman. They're not allowed to give something to a woman or eat something from a woman because there's a danger that the two fingers could touch, and that could explode the repressed sexuality. Is that something better? Another example is Monte Athos in Greece, where only monks and men live. They are so obsessed by sex that they do not allow even to enter a female animal, let's say a she-cat or a she-duck, entering the monastery because there might be a danger that they fuck this animal. They have some problems with the pigeon because you cannot know at the first glance if it's a female or male. And I mean, anyway, they are so small, so they will not be able to do a big thing with these pigeons. So for a normal person, it is ridiculous. All this obsession about being chaste and not touching a woman. Anyway, the women are always the bad. The devil sends us the woman. As you know, this story about the paradise that Eve was seducing the stupid Adam to eat the apple. So for centuries, the Christians throw all their repressed sexuality and the problems they had with sex onto the woman. But the woman doesn't do anything. She has this body, which most men find attractive, but it's not the women's problem. Because if God really created man according to his image, well, I ask if God has breasts. So, and if God has a vagina, so he must have created women according to another image, not his own image. Only Adam he created according to his image. So the women is always the deductive part, because the man cannot control their sexuality, so he throws the guilt on the woman. But he should resolve his own sexual problem, and then he just forget about the woman. Here we have the Muslims, just this crazy thing in a hot climate. A woman covered with a burqa and even in black, and she cannot even show the hands, even she has to wear gloves. It's the utmost stupidity about the sexuality. Obviously, the man wants to be a total owner of his woman. No other man should have even a glance on her. The best would be to cover even one eye so she just can't look a small slit so that she does not double over. So this, you can see, is the utmost stupidity about this struggle and fear about the woman and sexuality. If you have a normal sex life, you dedicate a certain time to your normal sex life, and then you just forget it. There's no problem, there's no fight with it. And because you have the opportunity to make love with the woman you love, there's no need to always go behind other, look around for other women. So your sex life is natural and is resolved. And then you can meditate without even thinking about sex anymore. Because it's become so natural, like eating. When you sit down and you have already eaten, and you sit down for meditation, there's no need to think about eating, because you are satisfied. And when your sex life is satisfied, there's no need to think about sex. So you are free to meditate. And there is the other point. You should be a totality and not to split up and to renounce certain things of the world and just the spirituality you allow, and a normal relationship with a woman you exclude, a normal family life you exclude. You want to be a monk, you want to dedicate your whole life just to meditation. If you cannot meditate within a normal human relationship, let's say with a woman, then your meditation is just artificial. It does not include your whole being. It's just a mental thing. If you cannot meditate, if a woman disturbs you because of her presence and because of the temptation, you might prefer to make love instead of meditating, then your meditation isn't worth much. It is always a certain kind of fear behind it and a certain kind of egotism. Just me and my practice, just I and my enlightenment. It should be possible, including everything. Sexuality is, as I said at the beginning, such an important thing. So include sexuality. I don't talk about tantrism and all this, because tantrism today, it's just another form of getting horny. I mean, not excluding your sexuality, as most of the religions are doing. Because, as we can see, nearly all the religions are made by men. And what kind of men? Monkish men. Christianity, which had at the beginning many women collaborating in the first centuries for the spread of Christianity, and there were very important women in the Christian movement, and then these monkish men slowly excluded the women. And as you know, Paul, who was unmarried, and as it always is, you should follow my example. When I'm unmarried, you should better be also unmarried. Follow my example. But if you cannot stay unmarried, as Paul said, then better marry so you don't burn. So that means you better marry just to have somebody on your side, so when you feel that you need having sex, you don't have to go to a prostitute, you have your wife on your side. So Paul allowed, but who is Paul? He allowed that you get married so you don't burn. So you don't burn. And as the priests are doing, you don't have to go and abuse small children who do not know what you are doing to them. So Paul allowed you to get married. But who is this Paul? Just forget about this Paul. You are you, and you follow what's natural. So combine spirituality, which is anyway such a stupid word, spiritual, to become spirit, like a spirit disconnected from your body. We are inside our body. As long as we live, we are inside this body. If we should not split up, there's the body and there's my spirit. Both form a unit. And if you want to become more spiritual by negating the body, you just become perverse, as I said, with these examples of the priests and the monks. So practice sex as something as natural as eating, and practice your meditation, and the best thing would be practice together. Your lover and you sit together, meditate, and each one helps the other to get deeper and deeper down, so you don't get perverse.